AP jungler is able to scale, very safely and hit that mid game point where you can find a lot of picks.
Right, Ellie, let's see how it all materializes as we load in for the second game in this best of two. Currently, Direwolves lead 1-0, and you'd imagine would be hunting for the perfect 2-0 to get an extra 3 points, double their existing standings, and really, truly extinguish the chances of KNG from making it into playoffs themselves. Currently deployed as 5, looking for a cheeky little bit of level 1 action, and might find it as they chunk Vendrick.
Yeah, Vendrick was quite happy to walk back into that bush. I think that should be pretty scary when you get the Varus E coming out from the Foggle Wall, but we get to see Deep Vision coming out the KNG side. So this might be a map trade, side for side, but based on being an AP jungler, you don't really want to invade, because what happens is when you invade early on, you need to re-invade later on for your camp timing, and it, kind of messes up your path. So if you want to be efficient, you don't really want to invade on these, AP versus AP matchups. You just want to really focus on clearing your camps as much as possible. We see Nidalee do it though, because she is someone who can, re-invade later on, as she is mobile, can go over the walls, can do it solo. Talia, not really someone who wants to walk into jungle by herself and be put in a susceptible position.
We'll have to see how much he does then play it. As you mentioned already, a different style coming out from him today. I suppose it's very easy to look at the KNG comp, right, and say they hit level 6. Surely that's when we get all the bells and fireworks. But you definitely want to see a lot of that aggression stem and start from the bot lane, given that both these 2v2s are just so strong. Yes, you could argue, yeah, you're in Enchanted, you're going to be incredibly squishy, as that's exactly what Shingi looks to try and punish. In the same vein, Lucian getting any opportunity is just going to be stacking up all those auto attacks and taking you down. Yeah,
I'd always give the edge in lane to the Direwolves side. I think that Varus is just a much stronger laner early on. Lucian really needs items. He needs to be able to do a lot of damage in this lane. He needs the culling. But then when he gets access to the culling, we're going to talk about how Leona and Varus are so strong in the 2v2. Throw out the Varus ult, either lead with the Leona ult if you want. Very easy to blow a cleanse or find a kill straight up with the amount of damage they can do.
Going for the first strike as well. Seems to be the go-to these days with the lethality variation. You're just going to be doing so much damage when you can sit from a million miles away, just out of the range for a Lucian to try and interact with you. You already mentioned about how this mid lane matchup should look to try and play, with the Tristana getting all that push, but the Malphite able to trade back with the wheel, as you saw right there. I'm curious to see if he'll go for the full tank build, if he goes, you know what, I'm just going to be that one-shot burst mage. I'll be incredibly squishy, but that's what our comp needs.
Yeah, I can see, facets for both builds. On one hand, you go full AP, you drop the ult onto the Talia, onto either of the squishy carries coming out of Direwolves, and you can follow that up with the Karthus ult, there'll be enough damage to get the kill. But the only problem is, later on to the game, when Magic Resist starts coming out of, we get a more on the Tristana, we get a more on the Varus, we get a Zhonya's on the Talia, all your damage is avoidable, and you're also countered by Flash. So I think that's one of the main problems with going full AP on Malphite. Whereas if you're a tank, you ult in, they flash it, you still hit them with the ground slam, and all of a sudden they can't do any damage in these team fights, and you're zoning and creating a lot of space for your Lucian to take over these fights.
If not the Lucian, then surely a position for a Cassante, as long as they're not too far behind, to also get amongst it, right? To cause a little bit of chaos and maybe kidnap somebody with their ultimate. We'll have to keep track of where Refury decides to go. As you can imagine, Karthus wants to fall clear as quickly as can be. Same could be said then for the Talia, to be honest, and as they do go for a bit of an invitation into look, they're going to find that nothing exists anymore. Chungy, absolute mad lad, jumps in with 0 HP to his name. And says, well, what are you going to do? You can't answer back. Flash out of the Skittle, flip back from the Talia. And look, it's a whole bunch of action. Surely nobody dies the Itali.
Yes, Sovereign didn't have access to any cooldowns there. We saw him winning the trade earlier, so Chungy tries to set up the gank as much as possible, but, we see Refury come forward. So he's landing a lot of Skittles here. Rossi has access to Flash, but this might be hard for them.
This is getting a little bit dicey. Sovereign low on mana. Refury now becomes and what was meant to be a reset for Chungy, he says, you know what? With my jungler here, everything is okay. To flip, agonizingly close. But first blood is yet to be found.
Yeah, and I want to see if Refury notices that Mochi did start chicken, so the respawn will be there. He's gonna walk in, find the camp, so he does get a little bit of a lead in his 1v1. Mochi did pick up a lot of CS from the, helping push in the wave. If he does go for the golems as well, though, he is in a very happy place because Mochi's only going to take away his Raptor respawn, but not his golems.
For trade, but as you say, one that gives just a little bit more of an edge to KNG. Despite that, though, 5 minutes in, it is still a Direwolves lead. They're up by 600 gold at this stage. which is definitely the place for them to find themselves. You'd imagine a lot of that would be stemming from the aggression found in this bot lane, but across the board you are starting to see some pretty healthy CS leads.
Yeah, but a much better early game from Kanga. I think at this point last game we were looking at a 2,000 gold lead, if not more than that. So it's good to see that Kanga, much more stable game state. They're going to be able to find level 6s soon. We see Carthus got level 5 on his first clear instead of level 4, which is, you know, huge for him. So he's going to clear one more time. I think with the next respawn of his camps, he'll be able to get to level 6 very early on. And finding that Requiem so early on in the game could have a large impact for Kanga.
Certainly could do. We'll have to keep tabs on which lane then decides to get a bit more aggressive, knowing that they've got that artillery support ready to back them up to win out on that fight. As Mochi runs on back, is close to hitting level 5 and is going to say, you know what, I'm just going to look to try and take these grubs on spawn, put a nice little control wall down to prevent getting surprised by anybody walking into the river. And with mids held in suspension and with top lane pushing, you should feel pretty comfortable knowing that you can take this.
Yeah, and we do have Shinky leaning over, and you know, pairing that with the melee support, it's very easy. We're doing a good job harassing Mayfan, pops the Dominus in the 1v1, but still has access to the all-out if he does want to go for an all-in.
Still, he's considering it though, but one will tread an ult, the other will go for Ghost, as Mayfan will just continue to expend that rage to make sure he gets as much life back as possible. After taking all 3 grubs, then Mochi pops his head into lane, make sure that wave can finally crash, so Mayfan can take a much-needed break and go back to base to spend up some gold to equal out what Woodon has so far. Back to the mid lane we go again. And Chungy knows, well, if you hit your combo, what more can you do? Here comes the Requiem. Can they find Leaf along towards Chungy? He's incredibly low. The Dark Harvest is there, but it's not enough as the Shinky link-up, once again, is sublime.
Yeah, just not enough damage coming out of Refury there. Unfortunately, Sovereign just didn't have his cooldowns back in time to be able to take out Chungy when he jumped on him, and we do see Mochi going on to Woodon here. Does have the all-out.
Can they find much in this one here? Because he is going to go all out, takes him on the best possible path to cover so much terrain. Can he get a kill onto Mochi? Flashes out of the flip. Flashes out of range, then try and take down Mochi. The Entofu strikes are there. The fruit gets consumed. He tries to eat and weather the storm. But they lose that on 2 separate occasions in 2 different lanes.
Yeah, and that's just really unfortunate. Once again, Kanga members just not there on time to be able to, you know, clean up the kill that Daiwos was able to find. You know, can't trade back. And once again, Daiwos finding leads in early game. And we keep talking about how Daiwos only find leads through Katsuri, really. But, you know, once again, Katsuri's having a quiet game, but we do see an all-in happening bot lane.
Yeah, Lubble goes out. Aqua Prison is nice in isolation, but it doesn't allow them to find any more damage than just that. Both AD carries trading their respective utility, be it the heal as well as the cleanse. But the Chains of Corruption are still there. That Solar Flare, though, it's just so annoying. Not only that, but obviously the boost to damage that the Varus can find thereafter. So I'm surprised we haven't seen more aggression found in the spot lane, but imagine Gavin is just going to be looking to try and get level 6 and then prevent any kind of crash that could happen under this tower.
Yeah, but this will also start to change the dynamic of this bot lane skimmy. Vendrick can no longer dash forward. They traded the ult for the cleanse, which means that, you know, if Vendrick ever decides to play aggressive, the Chains of Corruption can come out. Shinky's ult will come off cooldown, so that, you know, we'll find the Solar Flare to get another easy engage onto the Varus. But we do see a gank coming out onto Katsuri.
Shinky baiting with the Hex Flash, like, yeah, I'm going in. Wait, no, I'm not. I'm going to flash into the same bush. Katsuri thought he got enough. He thought he flashed away. Don't tell me Agent Shinky behind enemy lines. He can't recall. What is he thinking?
He doesn't have the Ignite skimmy. I don't think he has the damage himself.
He jumps in. Mochi says, I'm here, bro. I'll back you up. As soon as he arrives, he dies. And Refury takes him down for a second kill. Not too bad to make sure that the Carthus is online. But this is the aggression we kind of expected from the bot lane.
I wonder what you think, Skimmy, as a player when you get a kill and then all of a sudden you see a Talio coming in 1v3. I think it would be a bit of a shock when Shinky walks out the bush, but flashes over the Solar Flare. Shinky doesn't have access to the flash, Skimmy.
Yeah, Shinky's just dead. He's done too much to try and hold what is an incredibly stacked wave. Cops are culling to the face, and the Solar Flare just simply gets sidestepped with a really nice flash. And now, what will you even up again?
Yeah, and for a really good start for Daiwos, you know, blowing the cleanse with 1 ulti, to be able to find 3 kills in the bot lane for the Kanga side is huge. You know, this means that the Lucian might be able to do a lot more in the 2v2, but, you know, once again, we're seeing that wet noodle trade happening in top lane.
Yeah, just trading attacks, saying, look, put the camera on us for a second, give us a little bit of spotlight, and then we say, oh, well, nothing's going to happen here, let's pan away.
And we are, you know, we're seeing that tank build coming out of Sovereign, thankfully, as I don't think Mayfan will be able to get out of this one. Does have access to the flash, though.
can he do to try and escape this situation, as they will just simply trade? And it seems wherever Fury goes, he's there to pick up the scraps. He's in a much more comfortable position compared to game one, and their AP threat this time will certainly be there.
Yeah, definitely, but once Fury's always trading his camps on objective for a kill. Luckily, he's going to pick up the grubs, which is a decent amount of experience in the jungle position now. Hopefully get the crab on the exit as well, but touch on the mid more. Chungi has, gone for the Vamp Surf, they've gone for the Merc Throws, which means a lot of the poke coming out of Sovereign is very ignorable now, so it's just going to be a lot of scaling for both sides, and this will definitely, favor Tristana in the isolation, in the 1v1, because, as the game goes on, you're going to be able to do a lot more damage.
Well, you can see a bit of a wet noodle trade taking place in mid lane. The ultimate goes out as well as they look to try and get Leaflon towards Chungi, and this time he is simply dead. Requiem outplay this, not to be. As he will fall on down. Flash was there. Maybe you kick yourself thinking maybe I should have burned it a little bit earlier than trying to take this 1v1 in isolation. 4-1 now is the Carthus. And Fury definitely got a smile on his face again.
Yeah, Fury is definitely online. I assume he has enough gold to pick up the Leandries on his recall. We see the duo coming to the mid lane from Direwolves to, really force Sovereign off this turret to deny him as much gold as he can. But Mochi's walking in blind.
What can he find? He finds one. But without any more vision, decides not to go for much more than just that initial flip as he links back up with his mid laner for them to crash that wave. Let's check in and see what we missed out here in bot lane.
That's what we missed, Jimmy. Just the one shot happening. But I think this trade in the mid lane is important to note. The one benefit for Chungi in this matchup is he can navigate the poke. He can constantly just heal off the wave. Well, he's going to push the wave in because Sovereign has more points in the queue, doesn't have access to the amount of wave clear that he does. And just, constantly sustain his scale. But if he goes for this extended trades, he's not going to be able to find himself in a good position, as we saw him when he falls down like that.
Mayfan also not in that best of a position, was forced to flash away, then Topo Strikes being a little bit too efficient in their ability to make the tower work in their favor. Fantastic flip, and Mayfan turns it around. But you can't help but feel for Wood on his 0-3. He's being left on an island here in top lane to fend for himself. They're really all in on shutting down the Direwolves 2v2.
Yeah, thankfully, Wood he is on a tank. He's going to be able to do his job in these team fights, but it's really unfortunate to see that he keeps falling down, keeps falling behind in these 1v1s, because I think that he is a very talented player when he gets leads. So unfortunately, we don't get to really see that from him this game, but we see Fury pressuring mid. They don't have access to the ult yet.
They do on towards Chung as he leaps straight into the face of the Carthus. Says, can you hit me with the Skittles now? Forces out the flash, jukes once.
Dead.
He can't juke much more because, as you say, Leandry's on base. It took just one final, and like a Cassiopeia, he's get locked on down by that burning dot.
And I don't know if that was mind control skimmy, but we see Chungi jump into Fury as he's getting tower doped. They're not away, so he gives him the kill there when he could have easily lived that. Very curious to see that one out of Chungi. Falling very far behind now in his 1v1, we're going to see Sovereign pick up even more resistances, be even tankier, and we don't even see one item coming out of Chungi yet.
This is a pretty interesting situation where we've really flipped the script from game 1 to 2 in terms of who were the mainstays. The villains have become the heroes. As I imagine we're going to be spending a lot of time looking at this Carthus as to when does level 16 come around, much like that of a Cassidy. 5-1, the only champion bounty in the game. Not too far away from that second point in the ultimate. And that Requiem, I don't want to say it's being forgotten about by Direwolves, but at some stages when you're watching these trades, it's like they don't really care.
Didn't spot out Fury, so we have to see if he might face check him here. Doesn't have access to the flash though, but I think Fury with the Leandries, with the flash, he is so strong right now.
Let's see if they can convert this into anything more than just these initial picks. In terms of objectives, 3 grabs apiece this time, so much more even balance. The second Drake will be spawning in about a minute, so a much slower turn of affairs for playing for that one. But Woodham continues to be aggressive here. It's still, he's holding his own in the 1v1. It's only become an issue, and hence why he's fallen so far behind once he gets ganked. But I'm sure if you're looking at the rest of the map and say, well, if they're winning and I'm behind, I just need to be a tank and, isolate a key target.
Yeah, Sovereign flashes the Solar Flare, decides he wants to keep his ult. There are objectives coming up on the map. He thinks that is way more important than blowing that and saving his flash right now. I think that's a very good call. But how broken is Cassandre? You look at him winning these trades based on the items in the inventory. That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, maybe Season 13 is a bit more OP than Season 14. We think of Skarner, with the new top laner on the patch right now and how strong he is. But with everyone sleeping on Cassandre a bit, he's still really strong. Still has access to the all-out if Mayfarm does misstep. And rank 2 ult coming out of Fury means there's going to be a lot of damage coming out of this global threat.
Certainly will be, and I'm curious to see where it decides to get next utilized, because that next dragon up in 15 now. First item finally found by Chungy as he gets himself a Blade of the Rune King. Ketsuri going to be keen to hold down this mid lane for as long as he can, trying to stay as far away as possible from this Malphite, who, as you say, burnt the flesh to survive, but will still be hanging onto his ultimate to try and find a really strong link up.
Yeah, and if Kanga do want to contest this Skimmy, they're going to need to pull one of their tanks to the mid lane to be able to walk in, because when I look at the card, this Lucian Nami, it is so hard to face check into Fog of War against, you know, the Varus ult, the Leon ult, the potential for Mochi to be in Fog of War with the flick, the amount of damage that comes out of them. Very hard to deal with when you're playing your squishy champions. That's why we see so many supports in the meta right now, because it's just way easier to walk into the jungle with the AP junglers, which is so proficient on the current patch.
Yeah, so good at their clear, so great for the team profile overall, as both the AP junglers do just that, right? So Karthus takes the very first Herald. You can see the Direwolves play for the second Drake, stacking that one up to try and get themselves a soul like last game. Can't argue with it. You certainly can't, because it's back-to-back Hex Gates. They like to traverse the map. And they certainly like to do a lot of damage as well. Out goes that unstoppable force as he dashes straight out of that Weaver's Wall.
Yeah, so Chungy's not going to be too afraid to jump into Malphite in the 1v1 anymore, Steamy, because he does have access to the ball. That extra 10% lifesteal paired that on top of the Doran's Blade sustain, Fleet sustain. So even if he does, you know, take these really bad trades in the 1v1, he's going to heal it all back up off the wave and then just do the same thing again over and over and over.
Restraining to try and deal with Chain of Corruption goes out. Still they're going to miss because the cleanse was used really well there by Vendrick. Herald collides, and that'll mean that Kanga find their first turret of the game. And much like last game, Refury takes it for a drive. And we know what Refury's driving's like. It's not the best, as he's forced to flash out the safety, wait for a little bit longer. He's out of mana after using that Death Wall. And Might How had to try and throw himself towards the wolves to say, I need to fight from the afterlife, as he completely zoned, not in a position to assist, as Sovereign TP's in, but only to his demise.
Yeah, and this is what I was worried about, Skimmy, when I look at the Kanga comp. You know, a lot of damage coming out of here, but no one can really enable each other to do any damage. But Refury's in a really good position here.
Mochi dying to the tower right now, forces the flash out. Leandri's still burning away, but there is the damage coming in from the Varus. And the Requiem, how many does he find? On this occasion, just one. Members are burning, getting very low, but not enough to guarantee a second.
One kill away from finding the kill into Chungy there, which is, you know, unfortunate, but that's the way it is. As we just see the all-in coming onto top lane, Wudon does have access to the all-out if he does want to use it under the turret.
He certainly is going to look to try and do just that right now. So close to getting the kill. Force out the flash and Mayfind. He can't return because Wudon does simply not have that ability. Explosive shot right underneath the tower. Rocket jump in, jump away out. Life is easy, as they'll get another turret to really seal the deal.
It's just not fair, Skimmy. We've seen this so many times. We see Wudon really like winning these 1v1s, and then there's just a member from Dials who shows up and just cleans it up so easily. But, you know, as we go into the replay, we get to see how easy it is for Direwolves to play these fights with his Shinky Flash into 3 members by himself, but he's able to walk it out because he's so tanky. Vendrick has access to the culling in, but there's no one he can really hit. He can't go forward, he can't do damage because no one's there to enable him. And Sovereign just doesn't have access to, you know, all the flash, he's just a sitting duck at this point.
Yeah, how sad is it really to watch a tank goes in and Vendrick's like, well, I'm stuck in no man's land here in the mid. An explosive shot, and I can't really calculate just how much damage it's going to do to me. I have to run away, and Rasta is a bit of a long replay. In the end, it's just Direwolf saying, well, you know, you're a little bit mismanaged, so we can just really look to try and prey upon that.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate if one extra Q landed for Refury there, he would have found the double kill. Does have 2 items, does have access to the double burn here. I think that we've seen a bit of different builds when it comes to Karthus. We've seen the Malignant second, we've seen, you know, the Blackfire Torch. I think both are fine. Doesn't really matter when you're as fed as he is right now. But, you know, when we look at Mochi's inventory, he does have access to the same items, so will he be able to have the same impact that Refury will in these fights?
Let's see the full combo then landing onto Mayfind from the Nami, and in the end it will be lights out. Vendrick finding his second kill of the game, very, very much needed, as he's sitting just merely on that Essence Reaver. And if you take stock of really where Katsuri is at right now, double lethality items, Hubris is going to be finding insane value at this point if their team continues to steamroll these fights. Definitely cannot afford to fall further and further behind because it's already a 4 and a bit K deficit. And you would imagine still that the majority of that gold is in the Karthus pocket. Speaking of Wudon, who really has had a rough series this time, he goes for the all-out. It really doesn't travel much at all. And yet again, he is denied. He's yet to have a true 1v1, it feels like.
He doesn't mind Skimmy. Worth an all chat right now.
I got the assist.
That's what I would be typing. You know, he finds himself caught out as he's clearing vision. Mochi's just always hovering his side lane. He's doing his job, making sure that, you know, in these 1v1s, he's able to impact them on the side lane. But Fury has the ability to do that while clearing his camps because Karthus is OP. You know, press R, do 1,000 damage to the entire map, job done.
Really is job done, as he will continue to steamroll ahead on this occasion. I get a little bit scared for Direwolves in terms of if they do play for like an early Baron like they did last game. Surely not as easy when KNG can just go full Hail Mary with a Malphite, with a Karthus. You kill him, he's still going to be inside that Baron pit. So I think there's still a lot more left in the tank despite the unflattering KDA or scoreline as the Solar Flare doesn't really connect. Vendrick going to dash out of that one. Force himself into a bit of a safer position, but the cleanse has to be used as Mayfarm looks to lock him down with a stun. Dies for that attempt as Vendrick takes him down for the second time in a row as Fury eventually falls on down. Out comes the Malphite, knocking up one single target. And Warden finally has the kill on the board, but we're all grouped up in mid. The Chain of Corruption is isolated. Shinky wants to layer that CC, but it's only met by an Aqua Prison. And Warden says, I'll hold these boys. My KD is already in ruin. Don't you worry about me. You protect yourself, which is exactly what the fleeting members of KNG are doing. And Direwolves yet again come ahead with a win.
That was scary, Stevie. That was very scary to watch. We saw Sovereign flash a fully stacked explosive shot on top of his 80 carry head. Almost got Vendrick taken out there, but we see Sovereign just walking on the cat 3 here. Might be able to take him out.
He says, I'm a tank. You do 0 damage to me. I might just Rock Slam. I might just get it done as the piercing arrow from off screen just barely connects. And they'll just turn their attention onto the next target. How about a double kill, says Chungy. The laning phase wasn't the best, but the mid game is where it matters. Time for the Requiem. And yet again, it's only one kill. So close to finding more Fury on the precipice of excellency. But Mayfarm finally brings this elongated fight to an end.
Yeah, very, very extended fight coming out of the Direwolf side. They kept forcing because they have the lead. We see Mayfarm take the gate to play for the flanky, but Vendrick has access to double summoners, so he's able to get himself into a much better position. But this is really well played from Mochi. You know, in the individual 1v1, he's still gonna be able to do a really good job to skirt around the Karthus damage, find the isolated 1v1. And when Sovereign blows the Unstoppable Force onto one member, it means both carries are going to be able to do their job. But straight into line, we find another pick going straight onto Fury. Doesn't have access to the ult this time, so he won't be able to get any trade kills on the map. They will lose the Dragon, but I think based on the map state, they would have lost it anyway. KNG really needs to, wait for Fury to get that death cap online. If he is able to find level 16 for the Baron fight that is going to come up, that would be very nice for him, but most likely not the case.
Yeah, you had to really wonder how did the Karthus find themselves in that position. But either way, it is another Dragon going the way of Direwolves. They have a crucial 5 minutes before they can guarantee themselves that soul point. But the question, I suppose, now becomes, how do you look at this Baron? Because Direwolves would think, surely we've got enough of a gold lead, enough of a map state control to initiate this. But KNG has shown that if you look at the overall gold right, it really is this Karthus against the world.
Yeah, when I look at Direwolves comp, I don't really want to see them hitting the Baron as 5. I think that when you commit to, grouping in the pit, that's when we see those multi-man Malphite ults, the Nami ults, the Cassante Pathmakers. There's just way too much AoE coming out of the KNG side. So if they do want to take the Baron, I would like to see it with, the Renekton and Taliyah doing it with the rest of the members trying to create space by zoning them. But I think that's, it's honestly like too early in the game. They don't have that much damage to be able to play like that yet. So I think it's just going to be a dance happening around the Baron, looking for the pick with the Liliana, with the Varus ult until, that point is in the game.
I suppose on top of that, Tally, how do we navigate this split push? Because who wants to try and respond to Chungy at this stage? Is it just still going to be the Malphite, but then you want the Malphite to be grouped up with the team, to establish some control, to give your carry some presence on the map to at least do some damage? It feels like it's in a bit of an awkward map state.
I think it's completely fine putting Malphite down in the side lane. His TP will come up soon. In the 1v1, he's fine. Chungy decided not to go for the LDI yet, doing his Hansana cosplay. Probably an item he needs to get as soon as possible, or he will not be doing any damage, but decided to go for that. He wants to do damage to the squishies. He wants to try and ignore the tanks with his build, because he will not be doing any damage to the frontline members coming out of KNG. So Sovereign in the 1v1, completely fine to just, meet the waves like this, make sure that Tristana is unable to split push, TP into fights when he is needed.
Well, speaking of that armor penetration, out comes the Cyrodiil's Grudge. So the Lethality Varus now has some ability to not only look at the tanks, but at least do some meaningful damage towards them as well. Baron going to be looked at, and whilst it does look like it's been started up, not really going to commit to that anytime soon. It's just become a game of vision. And that for Direwolves is scan, clear out, and really be in full control as KNG they're now grouping up. Looking to see, all right, well, how do we regain control of this one? Because they're getting collapsed on from both sides so far. And in walks Gavin. He just dead. A single flip, and Mayfan wastes no time to take him down. Katsuri finds what he's after, and he takes him down in an absolute heartbeat. And this Requiem, look, it tickles, but it's just not enough.
Yeah, Kanga really thought Dials was on the Baron there with minimal members, but it's just so hard to walk in with these squishy members. Like, no one can face check. They blow both blue trinkets already. Dials dance around the Baron, you know, dance around Vision as much as possible, and that's just what happens. As you see, I'm pretty sure Chung is going to be able to walk this one off, but Sovereign is trying his best here to find the kill.
He certainly is trying his best. It just looked comical to me. We come straight to bot lane. He's in rocket jumping across the water. Malphite just maxed in speed, boosting across the follow. Unable to get the kill. Has so much lockdown, though, with this very tanky build. But just enough, I suppose, to really handshake more than anything.
Yeah, and I did like the Malphite pick. I think it's very good into double 80 carries. Like, unfortunately, Varus isn't really an auto-attacking 80 carry. Doesn't really care about getting his attack speed slow. He's still going to, you know, it's all about his spells, and, you know, popping the blight stacks is more important. And then Tristana is just someone who's able to, you know, buff for the ulti if it comes to it, and also build these very defensive scaling builds. You know, get the Bork for the laning phase, get the Merc Treads, be a lot more defensive and scale up into the game. So unfortunately, Sovereign isn't able to find as much impact as possible in the 1v1 and in these team fights, because he just wasn't able to find this early lead that he needed.
Kendrick, though, has been quietly achieving. He's got the most CS on his team, got the best score at this stage at 3-1, and is working towards that third item with the Zeal in his back pocket, but has found it quite hard, you'd have to say, to really gain any kind of control. You know, you think about Lucian, Nami, you think about them having like a rapid fire cannon, sat in the mid lane, first strike, you're just getting one shot. You know, a simple dash with all the Nami buffs behind it, but hasn't really materialized in that way.
Yeah, definitely, and we just saw it happen, Skimmy. Level 16 Ding for Refury, Death Cap in his pocket. So when I look at Dial's inventory, I don't think there's enough defensive items coming out of them yet to be able to, you know, disregard how much damage Refury is going to be able to do in this team fight. Like, I see a Locket, I see a Banshees, and I see one MR item on Mayfarm, but I think these carries from Dials might blow up if, you know, a little bit of extra damage is landed onto them in these team fights.
If there was ever a time to try and be the 1v9 hero, I think it certainly would be now. 517 AP. This max level Karthus is going to be hitting like a truck. It's just a case of how much damage can be done before the fight breaks out. So there they go, out with the culling. Hit a one-man tidal wave. A Solitaire to lock down the Karthus for the meantime as Woodon and the rest of the team is simply getting eviscerated by the Pebbles. The Talia utility just a little bit too annoying to deal with, and that's enough to bully them back out of the mid lane and actually straight back to base, because they look and go, hang on a minute, top and bot, we're just losing.
Yeah, and this is really well played from Dials. They don't want to 5v5 this comp if they can. They want to sit in the side lanes and make them play the split map, because we saw how hard it is for the 3 to function. Mayfarm is finding himself in a 1v5 here, though. Here
he goes for the 1v5 Titan situation. He pops the Dominus, swings around the axe and says, well, if I'm drawing your attention here, it's a 5-man squad. What is the rest of my team able to get done? And as we can see in the map, it's just 3 lanes completely pushed, and the ability to do anything they like with knowing nobody's here to stop me.
Well, Skimmy, the one saving grace of losing double inhibitors here is there's no objectives on the map for a very long time. You know, we see the Baron buff dropping off the Dials right now. They don't have to care about the Baron or the Elder for quite a while, so they're going to be able to farm up these side lanes, get as much gold, get as many items as possible, and rock up to this next team fight. Dials, once again, want to do the same thing. They want to, you know, send Tristana or, you know, the Renekton down to the side lane, make sure that if Kangol want to group up as 5, they're going to have a hard time engaging, and they will be losing their base.
We're a predicament to find yourself in right now. Out goes the Weaver's Wall mod. You get to jump off that one nice and early. Seismic Shaft this time not going to connect. Good juke from Sovereign. Great flash and an even better blast cone to find yourself landing on as he dodges out the kill machine that is Direwolves at this point in the game. They have exactly that of a 10k gold lead. The Baron is expired, but for back-to-back games, they have managed to pick themselves up the Hex Tech Soul. So you imagine a kind of extra 1,000 gold is added into the mix. And Refury, I mean, he's on his own in the jungle farming. His team is in base looking to try and defend. And the Requiem comes out, and that's so close, Mochi. They can't find him.
Yeah, luckily able to sustain up with the Omnivamp onto the jungle camps there, but Mayfarm is caught out himself, but I think he was able to create enough space to get out here.
Looking for it. Can they get one back? Yes, they can. Sovereign will answer back with an ultimate to push Mayfarm out of the mix for 53 seconds as they now frantically rush back to mid to defend the real only tower that remains here. But they want a bit of a timer, because I mean, Direwolves can dance for as long as they like. They know that top and bot is pushing in passively. Shinky jumps in early. Out goes that minefield. Jumping across is Shinky. And then Wooden says, I've had enough. He tries to catch up members in the all-out form. Sidestep stats of the Varus ult, Varus arrow rather, that may just have been lethal. And both teams, I mean, incredibly stubborn in their ability to hold on.
Yeah, and we keep seeing, you know, these fights look quite good for Kanga, even though they keep starting in such bad positions for them. I think if Re3 was alive for these fights, if he's with his team when he keeps getting caught, he can do a lot more damage than he is right now. We see him finally picking up the blind jewels, so getting access to some pen. But there's, you know, double bubbles coming out of the Direwolf side, so it's very hard to get that damage. But, you know, once again, Shinky maybe a bit too over-aggressive here, diving onto Sovereign under the turret. He doesn't have access to the, you know, ultimate, so he's not as useful as he can be. But Wudon finds access to the back line, blows summoners, which is really important. You know, Katsuri doesn't have access to his flash for this next fight, so if his bubble is down, he doesn't have that defensive capability to dodge the engage coming out of Kanga, he's going to get one shot.
Certainly will do. Speaking of some one-shots, time to check in with some of the itemization that's been just recently picked up. You can see that the Frozen Heart's now there in possession of Sovereign. Also, the IE is complemented by that of the Lord Dominic. So both these AD carries are going to be hitting like an absolute truck into either the tanks or the frontline carries. As we can see, Wudon here wanted to just scout out some vision of the Baron that's up in 10 seconds. It may just pay, hold on, with his life as a result of this one. Or was it all some kind of intricate bait? In the end, it turns out to be a 1v1 with the Carthus dying and the trade being a Leona.
Yeah, and once again, we see this is the story of Kanga so far this game. It's just someone getting caught. You know, we don't even say someone is inconsistently, and it's just so easy for Direwolves to constantly play the map, find these picks. But we do see the Kanga bowling walking up. Vendrick uses the cleanse, dodges out on the Chains of Corruption, but will they still walk in to contest this Baron?
You can just see how difficult it is though, right? You can see that Sovereign's desperately looking to try and clear the bot lane, is forced to run all the way up. Weaver's Wall zones the way, the TP finds little to no value there by Wudon. And the Baron is just a sure thing at this point, right? The 10k gold lead is only going to balloon that much further now because Direwolves have every buff the game can offer before the Elder's even offered.
Yeah, definitely. But we look at the gold lead, we see this 11,000 gold lead coming out of Direwolves, but it doesn't really matter, Skimmy. I think if we get to see, you know, okay, if we see the Crypt Bloom come out of Re-Fury, so he is online. This is probably as strong as he will get for the rest of the game. If Vendrick is able to pick up the IE before this Elder fight happens, I believe this gold lead doesn't really matter because of how either the team fights are going to function. It's either Kanga lands their CC, they find the engage, they find the ability to hit this 5v5 without their base being in shambles, or they don't.
That's a good point. And as a bit of a Warmog's salesman you are, you're going to be very happy to see that Shinky now has that also online, so they can be really kind of crazy with their ability to, you know, hard push this siege. That's what they're gearing up to do now. Waiting for those inhibs to respawn, which will be syncing up in about 5 seconds. They've got their sights set on the mid lane, and it's just about poking, just about harassing, about zoning members' way with that Unraveled Earth, or just hitting them off screen with those piercing arrows. Someone looking for the moment to try and strike, hunting for the target that might have a flash down. And Katsuri is down at this stage, but Chungi wants to try and keep this match split. As you mentioned already, doesn't want to entertain the full 5v5.
Yeah, and Kanga the clock is ticking based on this map state. They can't, you know, allow Direwolves to split the map up on them and keep, you know, chipping away at these inhibitors as they are. They need to finally engage onto one of these lanes.
They're playing all 3 lanes at this stage here, Tally. It's a little bit of indecision from Kanga. They just need to go on something, or they will just slowly bleed out here, we've seen. One inhibitor taken back in the bot lane, second to fall, freshly claimed in the mid lane, and if they go for the trifecta, Kanga will never be able to leave their base again.
Yeah, and I think that picking up these doubles, you know, inhibitors, allowing the super creeps in the mid and the bot wave might just secure them this Elder. It's going to be so hard for Kanga to, you know, ignore these creeps when they walk in to contest this Elder in 10 seconds. I think they might even be too late based on the map state. They're going to be walking over vision. Wudon is split himself, which could be a mistake because it's so easy to find picks for all these members.
Not offer with a game that goes all the way towards Elder, but you can see just how much damage we found at the 34-minute mark. 1 arrow, and Vendrick's already down to 50%. Chungi split pushing. Chungi completely committed to this play right now as he looks towards Wudon, who says, I want to try and make sure you can't do much. Preemptively hits him with the W, and Chungi says, I guess I'm all in. I've got to go for the fight of my life. He's going to really inside their base, goes for that 1v5. Re-Fury forced to flash away. The rocket jump to guarantee it. The rocket jump to disengage the Requiem, which surely is enough. Yes, it is. Shutdown to be found. Mayfarm backs him up from the top side, but just buying time. They're just being that of a distraction as he forces himself in with that flash swing around. And now 3 members of Direwolves have literally every buff. They've got the Elder now. Can they close it out?
Yeah, even though they are down numbers, Skimmy, there is no engage coming out of the Kanga side, and we saw how much poke that Katsuri is able to do. We might just see the engage coming out of the Dials themselves when they have this numbers disadvantage.
Looking towards Shinky, seeing when he decides to bite the bullet. He has absolutely everything up and available. What is the target selection? No Karthus for 20 seconds. Well, they don't want to be too hasty. They don't want to rush anything. They know they're in such a comfortable position now. Triple inhibitors with the Elder too. Really are just preying upon the mistakes of Kanga.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, you know, based on this map, like this state of this, of what their base look like, a huge engage coming out of Kanga.
Yeah, they finally find the moment. Enough is enough, they say. Sovereign jumps in with the one-man ultimate. Soliflay goes out, stuns that of the mouth fight. But the culling is there on the tail end to get it done. There is the Elder Zap as Katsuri burns double summoners to make sure that he's still a fighting factor in this one. Look at the damage onto the Nami. Lethality just a little bit too strong. Gets it done in the end. Double kill to close it out. Absolutely demolishing the bot lane as Mochi joins the celebrations as well. And as they respawn, they will TP in to make sure it's a full 5-man affair. And whilst this game did go on a little bit longer than I'm sure they would have hoped for, in the end it is Direwolves that claim another 2-0.
Yeah, a much slower, you know, more methodical game coming out of Direwolves, and we see the Varus coming out of Katsuri. He had a huge impact, so it's good to see that he's able to play these, you know, different play styles. Direwolves playing the map, not so much playing for that 5v5, playing for that team fight difference. So it's good to see that they can do these different styles, and they're showing the other teams in the rest of the league that, you know, you gotta watch out for us. You know, we're not one-dimensional.
We aren't one-dimensional anymore. We've added another layer to our